Welcome to the WDW News Today podcast. My name is Eric Morton. With me for the last time for a while, Tom Corliss.
Yeah.
You're going away.
The nightmare itinerary is about to begin.
You're going to miss at least 4, 5 episodes.
I am gone for a full month.
Yeah.
A full month. And that's not in one place, but multiple places. But nonetheless, a full month. I will not be here at work. Yeah.
Who's happier, you or us?
Probably all of you. Because it's a nightmare itinerary of bouncing around the world.
Katie's sad.
Yeah?
She cried.
You have lots to do here. You'll be busy.
But you won't be here.
That's correct. I will not be here.
So I'll be sad.
You'll be sad because I won't be here. At least one person.
Well, it's been a whirlwind since our last episode. Lots has happened. I've seen you a couple times. I didn't talk to you after the first day of the auction, so it sounds like things went well.
Yeah, no technical issues. The only issue we had was your fault.
The only issue we had was my fault.
It's not a big
I scheduled the stream on the wrong channel because for whatever reason, I thought we were streaming it on that channel because that's the channel where we live stream all the time.
I was going to say, like you said, you're used to that's the channel you always set up and everything on. So
oh well,
it's all right. We did it in record time. We thought we were going to be here till 7 or 8 o'clock yesterday, and we weren't. So
that's good.
Now day 2 is about to begin. When we're recording this, we're about an hour away from the start of auction day 2, and then 600 items are going to leave this building, and maybe finally I can fix that room now that there'll be space in it.
Yeah, that will be incredible to have room to walk in that. Look,
just a sorting table,
just selling the car's slot machine.
Yeah.
I know that's going to be tough for you because I heard wild sort of Japanese video game music playing for a long time in the studio the other day while I was trying to polish up some work stuff. And I go out there and you were just the most delighted I've ever seen you playing this car's slot machine that maybe you never played until now that it's
I let it sit there, now I played it. I was like, this is really fun. And I'm like, why am I selling this? I'm like, well, we need the space. On the other side, I'm like, this would bring me a lot of joy, but why start now? Why start feeling joy now?
If it took up a lot less space, then it'd be. You get a video game version.
It would have been fun to set it up in in a break room or something. That would have been neat. But we don't really have a break room. So
we could start a private casino for the Wigs members when they come to the studio.
Speakeasy.
The Wigs are joining us today already. They're here live as we film. If you want to learn more about all the benefits of being a Wigs member, one of which is watching us do this live and not having to wait a few days until it's edited and uploaded and launched, you can go to www.nt.com/Patreon. The Wigs starting as little as $2 a month, all kinds of benefits, and be part of the family. They're here in Discord, waking up we're recording this on a Sunday, so they're Sunday morning, rub your eyes, watch us stream. That's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about adult-only venues today. Tom has his Jelly Rolls cup. You went last night for your final time to Jelly Rolls.
That was our last time because we won't, we're leaving Friday. So we won't be here April 19th for the closing. So that was our farewell. My favorite thing was I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I posted on Instagram it's last time. And Piano Rob just messaged me. He goes, good. To clarify, Rob posted today about Jelly Rolls, and what he said is, he had a wonderful time performing for that crowd. He loved the people he performed and worked with. There were some behind-the-scenes things that were not ideal there, so totally understandable.
Right.
And going last night, I was like, I love the idea of this. It doesn't operate well. Like this cover charge is obscene. They let too many people in sometimes, and so like you come in and you can't even stand and see the stage. Like there's not even a standing room spot to see the stage unless you stand behind a pillar and just listen to it. There's some operational things that come from being, probably caring more about money than you do about the guest experience. But at the same time, I will miss the magic of Jelly Rolls, which is those performers and the crowd.
Is this my imagination? I feel like the last time I went to Jelly Rolls, which is a few years ago, it was $22 cover charge. Is it something?
It is now.
Yeah,
I think it went up.
Still 22.
Yeah,
or maybe more.
No, it's 22 now.
Well, I think it was 22 last time.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Maybe that was 2 years ago.
And that was
they
that.
updated it.
I think that was when I said
It's pretty obscene.
I can't keep coming back.
It's
here.
pretty obscene. And the drink prices are obscene too, and they're nothing special. Like, not to knock the bartenders, I'm not. But they just make basic
Right.
bar drinks, but the prices are higher than most places on property. So, I had a double of bourbon last night. I think it was $40.
What?
I didn't know it was going to be that.
What
much.
kind of bourbon?
What was it?
You should know if it's
Was
$40 for a
It
double.
was not a brand that should be $40. Like, it wasn't.
It's like
Blanton's.
Maker's Mark.
I think it was just Buffalo Trace.
That's.
It's obscene.
I mean, you can get a bottle of Buffalo Trace for like $35.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's what I don't remember which one.
That's
I had.
pretty absurd.
It wasn't anything. It wasn't a top shelf. It was something pretty cheap. And who knew? I was like, oh yeah, it'll be a couple more dollars in the rest of property, but that's what I want right now. And then Rosanna told me when she got the check, she's like, your drink was $40. I was like, excuse me.
Imagine having the most expensive drinks on Disney property. That's pretty bold.
I mean, Cake Bake Shop almost did it, but at least someone seemingly cares about the product there. So it's a little different.
Well, wow. I'm sorry I didn't get to go, but I'm not really sorry that I didn't get to go.
I mean, you still have time. If you do want to go say goodbye, you have time to do so.
I don't feel that it has played a big enough part in my life for me to
Yeah.
have any kind of fond farewell. You know, places come, places go, like that. And I realize people love that.
Yeah.
All my Jelly Rolls story, I had said goodbye to it long ago. When I said goodbye to that lifestyle of going to dueling piano bars late at night, right? Places that don't eat. What, it opens at like 9 or something, doesn't it?
Is it 9?
It opens after dark. Hey, I'm too old for that, man.
I forget. Yeah.
I'm too old for that.
Katie's laughing. She doesn't understand.
I'm in the middle
She
of
doesn't
trying.
understand that one day she's just going to wake up and be like, I'm tired, and I'm going to go to bed at 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, I like being home now.
You won't be ready for it. It's just going to happen.
I want to go to bed now.
You want to go to bed now? Yeah, but then you want to wake up at like 8 p.m. and go and stay up all night. Like, that's the young people thing. Yeah, you don't want to wake up in the morning, but you don't want to go to sleep at a normal time at night.
Sure.
That's being young.
If I go out to piano bars all night long, I will never finish MASH, which I'm now watching every episode. It's on Disney Plus, so hey, why not watch every episode of MASH? And well, I think it's maybe through Hulu. Like if you have the Disney Plus on Hulu, yeah, you can watch every episode of MASH. Yeah, you can see your brother Radar
Katie
O'Reilly.
loves MASH.
Yeah, I think I'm in season 5, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
I've never watched that through. I've seen enough episodes, but I've never watched it like in order or through.
Right. There is a little bit of continuity stuff in it because I think the Korean War was MASH ran for much longer than the Korean War existed.
Yeah, that
right. I
was
think
the
the
joke.
Korean War was like 1950 to like 1953,
Yeah.
Mid 1953 maybe. And there's episode that MASH is like I don't know, 11 seasons maybe.
MASH at the time was the longest running episodic TV show
Right.
to date, which I think now has been taken by Monday Night Raw. But either way,
Yeah. It MASH really during its initial run ran for at its beginning anyway during the Vietnam War, but it was chronicling the story set in the Korean War.
Yeah.
So there is some kind of anti-war sort
the
of
parallels.
parallels in there. But there are times in like season 3 when they give a date of when something happens and they're like, oh, it was like November of 1952. You're like, this is only 6 months before the war and we have 8 seasons left to go of this show. But yeah, great show, and I'm enjoying it. I'm getting through it.
Okay.
You know, we've had to say goodbye to some people. It's sad.
Yeah.
Lost some characters, but you know. I don't want to spoil it for anyone and tell you what
Don't
characters.
spoil MASH. In case anyone hasn't caught up on MASH yet. You think we're talking about Severance? No, on this show we're talking about catching up on MASH. We'll be on Severance when Eric's 85 and I'm 70 something. We'll catch up on MASH, or we'll catch up on Severance at that point. That's when
Maybe.
we'll be like, "Did you watch Severance?"
I still don't like telling people how Breaking Bad ended, just in case they didn't get to the end. And that's a long time ago. So
It ended when they fixed the bad.
I
Right?
remember,
Isn't that how Breaking Bad? They put it back together.
I remember an article. I think it was a Bill Simmons article, and he was like, the discussion was, when did you stop rooting for Walter White? I was like, never. Everyone else is like, oh,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
'cause he
he turned a
continually
bad
does,
person when he did
like,
this, that, and the other thing. I was like, I
More
was still
sinister
rooting,
and sinister things, right? As
I
the
was
show
still rooting for him at
progresses.
the end.
Yeah.
Maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't know.
Yeah, we are. We work here. Today's show is brought to you by the Carousel of Products at carouselofproducts.com. We got 3 brand new button-up shirts, which I need so I don't have to wear this Runaway Railway shirt again. 3 new button-up shirts. We have Spaceship Sunset, which is Spaceship Earth at sunset. 50 years of space, celebrating 50 years of Space Mountain around the world. And our cheap 3D tricks, marking the upcoming closure of Muppet Vision 3D. If you buy all 3 in a bundle, you save $15. You then also can apply your Wigs discount if you are a Wigs member on top of it. And don't forget, we're still taking pre-orders for Sunny Eclipse Plush or Intergalactic Lounge Singer.
The Intergalactic Lounge Singer.
Whatever.
Get it
You
right,
know
Tom.
you know what it is.
He can be yours. We'll send him
Pre-order. These are all
we'll send him your way,
pre-order.
all the way from Unork.
Yeah, on the planet Zork. So all these for pre-order right now. Get them at carouselofproducts.com. Don't miss out. We're running out of sizes already. Anyway.
Adult only venues. So what spurred this conversation, I think,
Yes.
is if you were here last week with us when news broke in the middle of the podcast that they named the new lounge at Spaceship Earth GO82 and announced that it would be 21 and over. And some of the community, there's some backlash, right? There are people that say, hey, Disney is a family destination. I think they forget that not all families have children under the age of 21, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have a family, and it's my sister, and it's my parents, and, all of them are over 21.
Yeah.
And Disney is not a family destination only for people with kids who are 4.
Yeah.
Disney's a destination for all kinds of families, and maybe the family that you choose or the people you go hang out with.
Sometimes a family is only made up of influencers,
The tight-knit family that is the Disney influencer crowd. That's true. That is one dysfunctional family. But the idea being from a lot of people that, hey, these families come to Disney and we don't like having places that we can't go because we happen to have kids.
Yeah.
There are not many places when you go on a Disney vacation that are adults only, but we're going to talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's the first one we start with, I guess, is Jelly Rolls, where you got that delightful cup of water. I don't know how much the water costs there, but...
Well, I put seltzer in this. There was a drink in this last night.
Tom and his drinkware.
I wanted a Jelly Rolls cup.
So before we get started, I have compiled something of a list of venues. How are you feeling about this? Do you feel like there are not enough adult-only venues, that there are too many, that it's just right, that they shouldn't have any at all?
No, I think it's just right. I think, look, Disney Cruise Line really nailed it. There is an adult-only area, right? There's a kid, but there's also a kids-only area. There are areas, I don't have children. There are areas that really are not for me. And there are areas I'm not allowed to go in. I can't go in a playground, right? It says this is meant for children ages this to this. It is only for children. There are all sorts of venues at Disney World that are really only for Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. They keep adults out. There are plenty of adult women or otherwise that really want that experience. They're not allowed. So if there are venues that are not allowed for adults, then I don't think it's insane that there are venues not allowed for children. And they're not. This is not geared towards children. This is not a space children are going to love and enjoy in GO82. It doesn't have characters. It's not bright and colorful. It's not particularly interesting architecturally. It's not thematic. It's not themed to a place or a time. It's modern furniture, drinks, food, and a window, which I'm not saying the window wouldn't be interesting to kids, but, I don't have a problem with it. The Disney Cruise Line, since the beginning, has had adult-only venues and adult-only spaces, and no one's ever complained about that. So
yeah, I think if you go on a Disney cruise, you take maybe on the first day. Usually they will let you tour, the Oceaneers Lab and all that kind of stuff.
There's an open house.
There's some amazing stuff that only kids get to experience
Yeah.
on a Disney cruise. And there are really amazing spaces that only adults get to, or that after certain times it's only adults, which is probably more common than strictly adults only on a Disney cruise.
But these kids still benefit, right? Because the kids, they will grow older and then can go to the other spaces. We can't go back in time. And like, I will never get to play with that Millennium Falcon thing in the ocean. Like, that's never going to happen. That ship has sailed. I'm never going to get to ride the little, like the Walt Disney Imagineering Lab thing on the Wish and the Treasure. Like, that ship has sailed. Like, I can't go back in time. But these kids, like, when they get older someday, they'll have the opportunity to see these things. So it's still not completely fair, but
more to explore.
Yeah.
More to explore. There are a couple other things, Disney Cruise Line, if we want to start. Palo. Children are not permitted in Palo.
Correct.
That's an upscale, upcharge dining venue.
Yeah.
I assume that's the same for Remy, Enchante, and Palo Steakhouse.
Yes.
So those are all adults-only dining venues. I don't think a kid is going to be interested in eating at Enchante.
No.
I don't think that's any big loss to the children to miss out on that. Obviously, I think the big thing is that if there's a sort of a nuclear family, you have dad, mom, 2 young kids, that they have to figure out what to do with the kids if they want to go to see Palo or go eat at Palo or Remy. In that case, put them in a kids program or something, because those kids programs run at night. You can drop the kids off at the lab and let them party away the night.
That's what people do.
Yeah, so at least there it makes cruise line. I think it's easier for them to pull off because at the resorts they don't have a lot of childcare options.
No, they got rid of all of them like 5-6 years ago, but pre-COVID, mind you.
Right.
And I remember that being that moment where we're like, why? Why are you doing this? But there are plenty of third-party options out there. I know that's not ideal to people because people are like, well, I trust Disney. I'd rather Disney did it. But they don't. But I don't want to be this guy. I'm gonna get attacked for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You went on a family vacation. Like, spend time with your family. Look, I get it. When you have kids, it's hard to find time to get away and have some time to yourself, but it's probably more doable on land, and I'm sure wherever you live, there is a fine dining experience or some cool experience you can have where you can have a babysitter and the kids are taken care of, leave them with mom and dad or whatever the case may be. Your mom and dad, not their mom and dad, or their aunt or whoever you have that helps you, watch the kids from time to time. And then you go have your night out. But to be like, oh, man, I'm never going to get to go in this lounge because I have children, blah, 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 blah. I don't feel sorry for anyone. Like no one feels sorry for me when I go to the Oceaneer Lab and I'm like, this is cool. I wish I could spend time in here. No one's like, oh, woe is you.
They're like out.
Yeah,
out.
You can't go here, sir. You're an adult. It is what Pteranodon Flyers at Universal. Yeah. They don't care. You better have a kid within this height to this height. And then you can go with them.
Yeah.
But under no other circumstances are you riding this ride.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that there are hundreds of places on Disney World property that everyone is allowed.
Yeah.
This is a very select, small amount of places that are adults only.
And I will tell you, but there's so many of those places that there's a stigma if you are adults that go there, whether you're a couple, whether you go alone, whether whatever. You go with friends where people are like, oh, well, look at these Disney adults. They're ruining Chef Mickey's. Like, why are they here? Why are people Royal Table? I have overheard people at tables adjacent be like, why are there people without kids here? And I'm like, why do you care? Like, number one, look, I have seen the opposite side. I have seen Disney adults, and I have seen more often influencers, more than anyone, ruin things for people, being too loud or being obnoxious or taking, too much time with characters when, everyone gets the same amount of time. That's how these things work. But in many cases, I've seen it where we're just there being very respectful and very normal and not sticking out. And people just are mad that throughout Disney World, there are people that don't have children because apparently the place is only made for children. That's my biggest problem. And those people are very judgmental. And Nana and me, and I bet everyone on staff, and maybe even everyone watching this who doesn't have kids has experienced this situation. The parade. Waiting for the parade. And you've got a good spot for the parade. And then people with children show up. And it's, well, my child needs to see the parade. And they'll push them through adults. They'll put them on top. I've literally had a child sat on my lap. You may think I'm joking. You may think, oh, it's hyperbole. They probably he was just touching him. No. I was waiting for Magic Happens at Disneyland the first week it was running. And this woman who was, again, it's a big crowd because it was the first week. We're talking about 8 rows back. The woman takes her children and goes like this. And off the children go. And the little boy, I'm sitting crisscross applesauce. Is that what they call it?
Cross-legged?
We used to say something else, and I won't say it because it's offensive now. So I'm sitting cross-legged, sure. And the child sits essentially in my lap. Like he sits on my leg. And so I do the look, which is, and I look like, whose child is this? And she's just, I look back and she's like, and I'm like, what? What is happening? I mean, he was a nice kid. I don't have a problem with him. At least he didn't, he was well taken care of. He didn't smell or anything. He was very well taken care of. So he wasn't, in no way was he like frustrated, but it was annoying that I have someone's child sitting on my lap, like a strange child is sitting in my lap. What is that? But that happens a lot. And look, the flip side of it is I will always be the one, we're waiting for a parade or whatever. I will always be the one. People have kids and they're behind to say, like, would you like to put the children up front? Yeah. You know, that's, I think as the Disney adults, that is our job, is we need to make sure people do not feel the way they feel about us, even if it is unwarranted in some cases. And I think you do that. But at the same time, I think I have seen a tremendous amount of guests with children act just as entitled as the Disney adults. And same way I feel about politics these days. I think there are terrible people on both sides of the equation, and it doesn't mean everybody on either side of that equation is awful, but a couple people ruin it for everybody.
Yeah. Look, I think it's common sense and common courtesy. Like, oh, look, yeah, I see kids.
Yeah.
You're like, but if your kid's 5'10", I'm only 5'11", my eyeballs, like, no, or you come down and sit down. But, you will see people, there's definitely an entitlement complex of people who are spending a lot of money to be here and bring their kids for maybe the first time. Yeah. And yes, guess what? I can go whenever I want. It doesn't give them priority over me, but I get it. I understand where the feeling comes from. Where I'm like, you know what? I'm standing here. I can see this every day, and these people it might be their only chance. But I'm not a compete for a spot for a parade.
But
person.
not every Disney adult is a I live in Orlando person. Yeah. That's the other side of it. You have to realize too is sometimes they're on that once in a lifetime vacation and they waited longer than you. And like it is what it is. If someone wants to be nice enough at that point because you showed up 5 minutes before the parade to let your children in, that's a very nice thing. That's very sweet, and I love that. But you cannot push your children through. Yeah. That is, I'm sorry, you are wrong for doing that. And same as the adult is wrong if they won't let the kid. Like if the kid's 2 foot tall and they're 5 foot tall, let the kid in front.
Let the kid. I'm not a person that gets bent out of shape about parade. I know that we have people that they live for parades and entertainment and characters, right? It's not me, so you're not going to see me fighting people for.
They once threw Nana's parade mat got thrown at the castle once because they were mad that they sat there for 5 hours waiting for a show, and some guy picked up their parade mat and threw it over the stanchion in front. Wow. And Nana had video of it. It was amazing. It was like people are crazy, man.
People are unhinged, man.
That person waited longer than you. What are you going to do? Like when I go to Japan, people are always going to wait longer than me. I will never be the first person sitting on the ground for anything ever in the history of that country. It will not happen. And so I show up and I sit behind people and I'm like, well, I showed up at this time and they were here first and there's nothing I can do. I know we're getting kind of off topic, but I think it is. I think the anger is coming from a lot of these people who resent the childless millennial Disney adults. I think there's a resentment there. The same resentment you're seeing against influencers. Every group hates each other. We are in the most toxic, vile time in this fandom, and probably any fandom. They're probably all the same. But in any fandom, those vile, toxic time where the pass holders hate the guests, and the guests hate the Disney adults, and the Disney adults hate the influencers, and the influencers hate the cast members, and the cast members hate the influencers. And like all these groups dislike each other at this point. No one's getting
and Club
along
33
anymore.
is watching from the balcony.
They're like, look at these people.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of that is Disney's fault, right? They created these teams.
I don't think it is.
You're everything you do from the time you wake up at 7 in your bed is competing with other guests for a virtual queue, competing with other guests to get to rope drop first, trying to get use your resort reservation to get early access to the park.
Always been like that. Rope drop.
No, it's gotten way worse.
Rope drop was a competition. It always was, and it always will be. You run to the ride you want to do to avoid a wait time.
But now you're competing at 7 a.m. from your bed.
I don't think that's why they all
starts
hate each
early.
other. I think it's just like some of it is an entitlement, a feeling of ownership, and people. And in some cases, I think the thing I always say that I don't hear other people echo is I think it's a competition to be the biggest fan. Everyone's in a competition to be the biggest fan of the thing. And I'm a bigger fan of it than you are, and I'm better, and I deserve this, and you don't. And I don't know. And everyone yells about everyone else's entitlement, but that group is just as entitled as the rest. No one is innocent. I don't think any group in the Disney parks equation or any equation is innocent in this case. I think everybody resents everyone. It's the time we live in, and hopefully this will come to pass at some point. But I think just at the time, and I'm not saying American society. I think global society, that's where we have arrived.
So
Eric's like, what do you want me to do with
no,
that?
I don't think it's that bad personally. I think it's maybe that's my Gen X side because I just don't care about that. You know, it's like kind of a whatever. I think a lot of people my age are like whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
you're not the ones chronically online, so
no
one knows that you guys are like whatever.
I'm still at my house and I wake up in the middle of the night thirsty and go outside to drink out of the hose. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, Victoria and Albert's, adults only.
Yep.
That's kind of interesting, right? Because it is a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And now we do that on cruise line, but Disney World has a restaurant that is adults only. That's all day long.
Yeah.
No kids will ever eat at Victoria and Albert's. Mm-hmm. Look, I can't even imagine going into a place like Victoria and Albert's and saying, "Yes, can I have some chicken fingers, please? Macaroni, perhaps."
Do they run them? Do they run the mac and cheese through the thing that makes the martini clear?
I know what you're talking about.
The espresso martini that makes it clear. They run the mac and cheese. It's clear mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese mousse. You know how they'd like to make. Remember when the mousses were real big? They'd turn everything into a mousse or foam.
Yeah.
I think foam has kind of gone out of style, but hopefully. Enchanted Rose. It is not strictly adults. They technically do permit kids, but I think kids, generally speaking, are not. There's not a welcoming kid vibe to that place, and there's nothing.
But people,
for
I've
kids
definitely seen kids
water.
in there though, so I don't know that I believe that. What does it say specifically on the website?
Well, it was right now. It doesn't say it's adults only, but I said that it's an adult atmosphere.
I don't. Yeah, I think you can bring family. Typically they'll try to seat you in those two side rooms. I think.
Yeah.
They won't put you in the bar room.
Trader Sam's after 8.
Yeah.
Trader Sam's Grog Grotto here at the Polynesian Village Resort after 8. No kids.
At 8 o'clock, you'll see that march out.
Yeah.
They kick the families out. Yeah.
It's interesting because you don't always know when you're going to get into Trader Sam's to begin with. So you got to time it right if you want to bring kids.
People get pissy about that. I've seen people get in like just before 8 and then they're like, well, you have to go. And they're like, but we just got here.
Yeah.
I think they've gotten better about it. I think over time now they like tell you if you're a family, they're like, just so you know, like 8 o'clock.
That's a tough one because there's a nice whimsy that I think would be attractive to kids about Trader Sam's.
Yeah.
You go in there, but obviously, like, it's a bar,
Yeah.
right? All the things that happen are when somebody orders alcohol, I think. Maybe there might be that one non-alcoholic punch that they'll do something for every now and then, but wasn't there something? I don't know. There's something served in a little squeezy.
But it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with that.
No.
So you don't get anything, just a fancy cup. But yeah, so Trader
But see, that's
Sam's.
what people are yelling about Geo82. They're like, why isn't it like Trader Sam's? Why don't they do the thing where they like switch at a certain time? I think it's a capacity thing. I think they have this bar that is going to be more in demand than like any bar they've ever had. And part of it was, well, number one, we have a sophisticated atmosphere. What if, at least for now, it's adults only? That'll eliminate, this much of the demand if we do this. Yeah. And I think that was part of it.
Look, if you're planning on selling $25 drinks and you have a 4-top and it's going to have 2 kids, they're not going to be buying your $25 drinks, man.
Yeah, there might be a business decision as part of that too. Absolutely. I could see that. But at the same time, it is, but yeah, you're right. Like, there's a ton of adult. I think we've crossed the line into park, right? I think that's the problem people have is like, it's in a park. But like, you all ruined Epcot. What do you want now? Like, this is the Epcot you created. You didn't want edutainment Epcot. You wanted drunk spinning roller coaster Epcot. I hope you enjoy it because here it is. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be more dining. Every 15 years, you'll get a thrill ride that makes no sense. And you've created a park where their primary business is alcohol. That park's primary business is not ticket sales. Its primary business is not merchandise. It's not lightning lanes. It's not any of those things. It's alcohol. It's beer and wine and cocktails. So yes, this is the world we live in that you've all created, and now we have to live in it. And you did create, if you're I'm going to say this, it's also going to sound mean. If you're the parents that take kids to the lounge, you've given money to this system. You have provided money to a bar at Walt Disney World and created this system in which bars are the most lucrative form of business at the Walt Disney World Resort. And so the focus now is on building bars. They're building a bar in the Magic Kingdom. They're building a pirate bar. Now, that one, for damn sure, will not be 21 and over. That'll be families, without a doubt. So, I don't know. Was this a way of evening out? It's like we have 2 great new lounges. One will be for families. It's at Magic Kingdom. And one will be for adults. It's at the adult-oriented park, Epcot. And we can go on and on about all the things they do. Oh, we're going to make Epcot more family. How much more is there for kids to do at Epcot than there was before? What did they do? A water play area? Did that solve it? The kids love Epcot now.
They expanded France.
Oh, and Remy. Ooh.
Yeah.
Remy and a water play area. Now it's the best kid park in the world.
Atlantic Dance Hall. Is adults only. Yeah. I've only stuck my head in there when it was like hopping before. I did a work event where like there was a vendor showcase where we had to sit there and watch vendors introduce their new products in Atlantic Dance Hall one time for work. But other than that, like I remember like it was a thing back. Remember when you might have been too young. When swing dancing was a thing.
Spoodles was there.
No, there's a time in the 90s
Swing
when
dancing,
like swing dancing was a thing, and Atlantic Dance Hall was like hopping.
I think that was the reason it was built. I think that there was a desire for a dance venue that wasn't anything like anything at Pleasure Island. At that time. It's a gorgeous venue. I highly recommend. There's no cover for Atlantic Dance. I highly recommend if you're walking down the boardwalk and it's open, go in there, sit for a minute, check the vibe. It depends. I will tell you, it's different every night in there. It completely depends on what events are happening around so it depends on how many weddings there are, what convention is there. I have been there on like 4 consecutive nights, and every night, like the crowd was totally different. It was just complete. And one time we went, and a lady decided to ride her husband like a pony, and she fell off and got hurt, and then they had to close the Atlantic Dance early because they had to stretcher her out.
Also, over at Disneyland, Trader Sam's at the Disneyland Hotel after 8 as well.
Yeah.
Adults only.
The inside.
Right. I have one I'm not sure on. I might need you to check this. Magellan's Lounge at Tokyo Disney Sea. It seems it's adult. It's aimed at adults, but it's not clear if children are welcome there.
Did it ever come back?
I don't know. I'll have to have you check that out.
It was absolutely adults only. I don't think it came back. All the times I've been since. I'll let you know. We're going.
Yeah.
We're going to Magellan. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
They have a vegan 3-course or 5-course thing now. It's a big deal. Starting in January, they introduced, so Rosanna could eat there, and so we're going to go eat there and do a review, and I'm very excited. Magellan's is wonderful.
Yeah. Crystal Lotus in Hong Kong Disneyland Hotel. It's unclear if that is adults only or just geared towards adults.
I think I've seen children in there.
And I would say the Bacchus Lounge. I mean, Bacchus is the god of like wine and partying.
Yeah.
That might. I'm not sure. We'll have to investigate. Hopefully, we're in Hong Kong soon. We'll see.
You said Bacchus Lounge at Hong Kong?
Yeah, Hong Kong Disneyland Hotel. Is that a thing?
Oh, I've never been in there. Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's also a Bacchus Lounge, I believe, at Shanghai Disney, in the Shanghai Disneyland Hotel.
Quiet Cove pools and bars on all ships.
Adult areas.
Right. Currents Bar, adult areas. On the Dream, the district.
Yes.
On the Magic, what used to be called Beat Street. I don't even, is that still called, it's the adults area.
Isn't it After Hours?
I think it's called After Hours on like the Fantasy and like maybe also the
No,
Magic
on the
and
Fantasy, it's Europa, I think. It's the Europe one.
Okay.
I think After Hours is the 2 old ships switched to After Hours, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or just one of them? One of those.
I know the Magic switched to After Hours.
Yeah.
The former Beat Street, which was so corny that I kind of liked it.
I've seen the architecture. I've seen.
I
pictures.
walked.
I'm like, that's amazing.
It had like a fake road that you walked on that had a little give to it, like a spongy little road. Also, those are after 9 p.m. on the Dream and Fantasy anyway. Are 8 after 9? It's 18 and up.
Yeah.
So you still can't drink unless you're 21 on a Disney.
But you can at least go. Yeah, and they do have. Obviously, they have non-alcoholic options at those places.
Some of them even have free food. If you've only been on a
It's
Wish
still a
class
thing.
and up and newer,
It came back.
You know.
I'm shocked after COVID. I thought for sure, like knowing Disney, but Disney Cruise Line, I will say to their credit, operates different. The things I expect Disney to do, they don't always do on Cruise Line. I thought for sure. I remember we went on those first cruises back from COVID, and they're like, "Well, the food we put out for free, because it's like a little buffet."
Yeah.
On these ships is we're not doing it right now.
Well,
and I was like,
happy
well,
hour.
that's it. And I remember we joked like, that's not coming back.
Yeah.
And it did. It did come back. It's on those ships again.
For those that aren't cruisers, every cruise ship, every Disney cruise ship will have a space that is sort of a casual, like whatever O'Gill's is on the Magic, right? It's sort of like they have trivia there, but it's kind of like usually it will have like sports bar type of. It'll have TVs to watch. Sports and things like that, and maybe some games, backgammon and checkers and stuff like that. They'll have all of those, and Gills, in the case of Gills and the Magic anyway, there's a sort of a flat top heated area where they'll put out some snacks during happy hour. Nacho cheese and chips and little pig and blanket and
snacks.
Little snacks. And if you go on the Wish, they're like, oh, here's the menu and cost for any snacks you might want while you're in here.
If you're curious how those things are on the Treasure at Periscope Pub, we tried everything on that menu. So you go. There's a video right here on the channel if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Which I will say this much: the food was phenomenal. I loved Periscope, and in some cases, I think if I was on the Treasure, if I go back and we do another 7 at some point in time in the future, I might skip some rotational dining and just go sit in there and get like an item or two, because I think Worlds of Marvel is still inedible.
I agree with you. I think if I go on another Wish class cruise, which inevitably I will do something else. Sometimes I tire of the rotational dining, right? Because dinner takes a long time. It's a big commitment. It's during a specific time frame. And when I'm on a cruise, sometimes I want to have no schedule.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to hang out. So I'm perfectly happy to do that. Right?
That was easier pre-COVID because the buffets used to do dinner. And now they eliminated the buffet. So your options are bar food or the deck, the counter service, the quick stuff on deck, which in the case of the
Donald's
Wish and the
Cantina.
Treasure, I ate like 9 Donald's Cantina meals in December last year. So don't get me wrong. I love it.
That is the closest thing you get to a Tropi Chop at sea.
I think it's better.
But it's your Pollo Tropical type of thing. A bowl with some rice and some beans and
everyone
some
does.
chicken.
Like I waited in a 30-minute line one point on the Maiden for Donald's Cantina. And you know what? I saw how long it was and I go, well, what else would I eat? I can have the bad pizza. I could have the chicken tenders, which are good, but I don't know. I want like a meal. I want my bowl. And so I waited 30 minutes in that line to get my bowl because the other options, don't get me wrong, I think they've gotten better at the deck food over time as the ships have progressed, but I still think comparatively, like the Donald's Cantina blows every other one of those service windows away.
Well, what they have barbecue, they have pizza, and they have burgers. So that's basically, they're not bad.
Don't get me wrong, the barbecue, they did a decent job. For being cruise ship fast food barbecue, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's just not great. Donald's Cantina is legitimately great. Like, I think it's better than Chipotle most of the time. I'm like, this is like elevated Chipotle. Yeah. Chipotle doesn't have that bar is a marvel. That not Tabasco bar, the salsa bar.
Yeah.
Like how, I don't know. At a theme park, it would be near impossible to keep that stocked. On a cruise ship, they're keeping that stocked for all these guests all the time. It's never like missing stuff. I'm like, how are you doing this? I'm amazed.
You ever get room service on a ship? I've never done it. I always intend to, and then I'm like, it never happens.
It's okay.
Except I got room service to get wine. I called them for wine glasses and a wine bottle opener because we brought wine. You're allowed to bring 2 bottles of wine per guest on board.
Yeah, I like the chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, of course.
Chocolate
double chunk chocolate cookie.
People, the cruise line people, it's a thing. You just room service some hot cookies. Oh man, they're good. It's good. You get milk and cookies, maybe, or what everyone does. The TikTok trend is, I'm going to get a Mickey bar delivered to the room, and then I get it. Yeah. It's fantastic. Someone brought you a Mickey ice cream bar, which is double your daily allowance of saturated fat. By the way, not to ruin your life, but I believe.
Hey, if I'm on a cruise, the last thing I need is you telling me about saturated fat in the food, right?
I mean, that was the worst. On the Maiden, I was trying to watch what I was eating, so I did my best to eat okay, and I actually did. I ended up coming back the same weight I left at. I was so proud of myself. I was like, I didn't starve myself. I just stayed away from unnecessary garbage.
Well, Worlds of Marvel was in my dining rotation twice on a 4-night cruise, so I probably lost weight on that cruise.
Oh man.
Oh, sorry to crap all over Worlds of Marvel.
Worlds of Marvel sucks. It's the worst.
I did get to fist bump Spider-Man. But he talked to me, which I thought was weird.
He came to our table for 0.8 seconds on the treasure.
Oh well.
Oh man.
So
what do you think? Do you think it's okay? I didn't get your opinion.
Do I think it's okay to have 21 and up venues? Yeah. I
think everyone's going to yell at us that we don't have kids, so our opinion doesn't matter.
No, it's true. But I have nieces, I have nephews that I have brought on Disney vacations, and the things that they want to do aren't going to include going into a lounge anyway. Yeah. Right? They're going to want to do what they want to do.
Not everyone is the Tuzans,
So why?
What do you mean? What the heck? Didn't your parents loved the lounges, so they just always brought the two of you to lounges? No.
Not all the time.
Well, no, I think there's room for this, right? Like I said, hundreds of venues you can go to. In terms of ones that are strictly, adults only, there's several on Disney Cruise Line, and in the parks, there's one. In the parks, as far as we know, there's one, and there's one restaurant, one place after 8, and Jelly Rolls and Atlantic Dance Hall. You know, I think you can have a complete Disney vacation without I can have a complete Disney vacation right now, and this bar doesn't exist yet. So this bar existing and only being for people 21 and up is not going to cut down on things you could do on a Disney vacation.
No.
And look, I don't think kids want to go there anyway. I realized, look, if I had a kid with me and Lee and I were going, we had no alternative for childcare, and this new lounge opened and I didn't know about it ahead of time, I'd be like, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. But the kid is like, good, let's go do some stuff. Right? And
like, again, but that's no different than me being bummed when I go on the cruise and I can't go do the cool kids activities that are listed, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not any different. Like, yeah, I'm sad, but that sadness subsides in 3 seconds when I look at the navigator and I'm like, oh, but there's this thing happening. Let's go do this. And then I remember I'm on a cruise and this is fun and it'll be okay.
I think the last thing that's missing is that Disney Cruise Line needs an elderly people only area. Let all the people over the age of X go to this area where they can talk about their grandkids, or they can just relax and be quiet, and you could drop them off when they run out of energy.
Is it like the Oceaneers where we have to like sign them in?
Yeah.
Do I sign my parents into the 60 and up section of the cruise? Like, Dad, what'd you do today? We made hand turkeys. I piloted the Millennium Falcon.
Ben Stiller's in charge of arts and crafts, like in Happy Gilmore. Oh my God! No, I do think that there are times when you have especially when you go with a large family, that some people could use a place to just go and. What do you got?
Beam is talking about Tokyo.
Okay,
and I'm going to bring up the biggest thing that is only for children at any park in the world that I'm the most upset about. You know it. You knew it already. Tokyo Disney does a vacation package. It's a vacation package where you learn to be a theme park janitor. You learn to work in custodial. They put the kids in the costumes and they teach them the whole job. You get to draw on the ground. You clean up garbage. You are a Disney parks custodian. And it's the coolest thing. It's only for children. Why? And their primary audience is not even families. The Tokyo Disney Resort primary audience is single women ages, I think, like 18 to 34. That's the primary audience. And yet they have this kids exclusive janitor package. Not that I would ever fit in any Japanese custodial costume, even if they sewed 4 of them together.
But you're dying to do it.
This is my dream would be to go to Japan and a cast member teach me how to do that job.
Do the parents just drop them off?
I think
the parents kind of watch from a short distance.
Yeah, they kind of like watch them do it.
Is it like an all day thing? They clock in, teach them how to clock in.
I think it's a full day thing. I think it's like an 8-hour shift. I think they show they're like, this is an honorable job, and it is. I will tell you, I have more respect for theme park custodial cast members at any park in the world. I don't care if they're Six Flags. I probably have more respect. If you the lower the theme park, the more respect I probably have for you. And it is I love Japanese culture where that is such an honorable job. You keep this place clean for the enjoyment of people. This is so honorable that my children want to come learn to do what you do. And I think that's
I will pay for the pleasure.
It's the most wonderful and charming thing. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. It's not maybe as great as your father making hand turkeys at the elderly center on the cruise ship.
We made macaroni art.
I didn't know. I think there's room for someone's
Pat, look at my macaroni art.
For older people to be like, I can't keep up with these people. You know, they're go all the time. I want to chill and play bridge with people my own age. Yeah. You know, maybe they could have a club for them like they do for the teenagers. I don't know. Maybe they get their own ride. You can only ride the new Pteranodon Flyers.
Yoshi's Adventure
right,
is only for elderly.
Why not? Man. Why don't we have more stuff for the elderly?
This reminds me of, or maybe what if, I have a crazy idea. What if we just open the Oceaneer Club to children and the elderly?
And they have to work together on missions. Because you know how well it works on
you ever
Smuggler's
see-
Run. Yeah.
I forget what Simpsons thing it is. It might even be the ride. I don't know, where it's like they leave Maggie with the grandpa and they're like watch each other and like they both just talk gibberish to each other. And they talk gibberish to each other and they just both fall asleep. I'm like, this is amazing. Oh.
No, I love it. I think there's room to have. Look, there are teen-only spaces. Also, actually,
Vibe and Edge.
There are Vibe and Edge. There are 2 different locations for kids that are like teen to preteen to teen, and then
tween
kids that are like
yeah.
tween, like up
Tween
to 18,
yeah.
like 15 to 18.
Oh
or
yeah, maybe they're
16
not
to
even
18.
tween there.
Yeah. So they have those spaces. They recognize that those people have different needs in their entertainment.
And they can't cross-pollinate, right? You can't go unless it's an open house, but you can't go to the activity. If you're of this age, you can't go to this one. If you're this age, you can't go to anyone you don't belong in except for an open house to look at it.
I went down the slide
Which one?
on the Treasure.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
I didn't do that one. I did the one on the Wish. I haven't been down the Treasure one yet.
Yep, there's a slide from the lobby down to the kids area, and they let us explore it. I think first day usually.
Yeah. My favorite moment of the fantasy cruise we did was Rosanna. I did not tell her about the hand washing.
That you have to wash your hands?
No, the machine.
Oh.
The crazy hand wash machine. I didn't tell her, and I was like, just put your hands in. And she's like, okay. And it's just the look of delight on her face when she did it. And I remember vividly the first time I did it, it was the same. I was like, this is the coolest thing.
My sister's number one criticism of Disney Cruise Line after her first, because she's been on other cruise lines, is that they didn't have someone saying washy washy when you walk into the spaces.
Yeah, I've seen that on
It's
TikTok.
a big thing. Just like Royal has the people that change the day on the elevator.
Yeah.
And now people will cheer for, like,
People
stand there
stay
and cheer
up
for
and
them.
they specifically get in the elevator at midnight, right?
Yeah. I also saw on Royal, it would differ every night which elevator, but they would have a piano player in one elevator every night. So you get in and they'd play a private show for you while you're
cool.
between. It's pretty cool.
That's
pretty cool. Yeah. The weird things you could do on a cruise ship that don't make sense anywhere
I
else.
love that we still ended up talking about but the 21 and older thing, again, the Disney Cruise Line is the sort of template for these segmented experiences. So it makes sense in this conversation for sure. Does it work in a park? I think it does. I don't think adults should be allowed into the Dumbo playground, but that's me. Like, we're allowed in there, but it's weird. Like, I do want to go in there and I'm like, I want to pull the fireworks thing. And I go and there's like a line of kids and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to leave. Because I'm like, I'm going to get judged. It may not be an actual rule that I can't go in the Dumbo playground, but it might as well be, because when we get let loose in there, it's like, well, I guess I'll just sit here.
Several years ago, I made a series of videos of doing whatever the free Disney Genie told me to do.
Yeah.
And it sent me to the Disney Junior Play and Dance. You've never felt like a creep like you feel when you walk into that thing with no kids and watch the show. Yeah. But I had to do it for science. We had to do it.
I've done it a couple
and we probably have a clip of that that's pretty funny. I don't know if Billy can pull it up. But
I've been in various Disney Junior shows as without children. I've been with children also.
What's that?
9 minutes to 1.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else you want to cover before we get to this? I want to hear what other people think, because obviously a lot of people feel very passionately that if you go on a Disney vacation, it is only for families with young children and everyone else needs to get out of the way. And other people that are like, look, I pay to be here. Look, who else is keeping this parking up? How much would this cost if the only people that came here were families with
We live in a free
children?
country. Anyone can go anywhere they'd like. I think that it's gatekeeping. It's gatekeeping, for lack of a better term. It's gatekeeping. I've never had a problem with people bringing their kids into lounges, which are primarily an adult space. Then you can't have a problem when I'm in the playground looking at the playground. Like you both of those things, they can't be mutually exclusive. I think people need to have more tolerance for people with children, and people need to have more tolerance for people without children. Now, look, I'm not saying every Disney adult is the most thoughtful and innocent person there, but we have our moments of annoyance. But
It's just like navigating society, right? All that Disney is sort of a indicator of what society's like outside, right? The same amount of people are going to have similar ratios of people with children and people with no children and people who are obnoxious and people who are entitled and people who are very nice and pleasant. And by and large, the people I encounter are doing their best to make it through what can be a stressful day at Disney World. So,
but the things you notice, though, you don't notice the people being normal. You notice the guy from the fifth story of the Riviera throwing burritos down to his children.
That seems like a story for another day. I haven't heard that one.
I will let Nick tell it. I was told this story yesterday, and there are multiple people
throwing burritos.
Apparently, the kids were at the pool and wanted the family wanted the burritos, and so the child left the pool. And from the fifth story, the father begins to throw wrapped burritos down. Now, number one, the kid caught 0 of them. But they were so well wrapped, they didn't explode. So they didn't hit the pavement and explode. And so I think it's one of those things where finally, it happened once, it happened twice, it happened 3 times. And I think the cast member was like, is this going to keep?
Can you please stop?
If I go over there, finally they get to 5 or 6, and the cast member's like, you gotta stop. You've got to stop throwing burritos from the 5th story.
I was staying at Gaylord Palms. I don't know if you've ever stayed there.
Yeah, I never stayed, but I've been a couple.
It's cool. There's cool stuff to do there. There's a couple cool spots to eat. And all these kids are playing soccer. Kids right outside the pool, there was an artificial turf area, and they're playing soccer and doing all this. There's just all these kids. It starts raining. So all the kids run into the main giant atrium there.
Yeah. And
I look, and all these kids are running we're just standing there talking to our friends. All these kids are running in a circle, screaming and everything. I'm like, what is happening? And I see a laser pointer on the ground, and the kids are chasing it. And I look, and there's a guy up on a balcony, across the atrium, playing laser pointer like you would with a cat, with a pack of 20 kids. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's no burrito, but it's pretty darn good.
I'm more impressed that they were packed so well that none of them exploded when they hit the pavement.
Yeah. Well, we've talked enough about this topic because I know that we have to go live. We have a live show coming up in 5 minutes that you got to go get ready for in the main studio. But we appreciate you coming. Let us know what you think about this. Are there any venues that you think should also be 21 and up at Disney, or maybe should not allow, kids or adults? Or what are your favorites? I don't know.
No adults should be allowed in Tony's. No adults nor children should be allowed in Tony's restaurant. Only the elderly.
So anyway, let us know in the comments. Please subscribe, all that nonsense. And we'll see you next time here without Tom, unfortunately, on the WDW News Today podcast.
See you real soon.
Bye-bye.